Boom. Welcome to Echoes of New Eden, episode 4. Can you believe it's already been episode 4?
Yeah.
What's up, Taylor Rick?
How's it going, man? It's been a quick 4
Oh,
episodes, even though the episodes are long.
Nobody's complaining about the length, though.
No, not at all. Just our wives.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Right? Yeah. Staying up all these nights, and it's even later for you.
It is. I think that one long one we had, we started at 9. I got done around 11:45, almost midnight. I was like, oh, man. It was good, though. That was a good one.
Yep. So coming into this episode, I'm a bit sick. I've had allergy issues literally all day. And of course, it's on the day we record. So had a cough drop. Hopefully that would be a little better for the voice issue. But nose is running like a faucet, so I absolutely hate that. So anyway, here we are.
That's always a pain.
Oh, man, what a week it has been. So we have a few big topics to talk about in since last episode.
Just a couple
some
things.
Of the big headlines. Yeah, just a couple little wee things.
Right.
We'll do a HONK update with the Void and HONK dispute. Not even considered a war, really. It's more of a dispute or a feud, like I noted it last time. And we have some corrections on that from last episode, so we'll talk a bit more about that and get the update from that. And then the SHH and Genfed war is over. Like,
Yep,
what?
it's done.
Like,
it's done.
I'm pretty sure it was an episode or two ago. I was like, who knows when this war is going to end? It's like a stalemate, right? You know, one side's winning, and then it kind of flips over to the other side, and then they're winning for a bit. You know, it's kind of like that. But then all of a sudden, it's just out of nowhere. And, you know, there's a lot of questions as to why the ceasefire was called. And so I got the details on that. Then we also have EtherealMind. He talks about the DIR and faction war games. And I apologize to him because all last episode I pronounced his name wrong.
I was going to correct you at some point, but I just said, nah, it's good. We'll just go with it.
And you know what I was thinking about? I was like, could that have been my accent, like where I'm from in the United States? Is like, do people call, you know, like in Minnesota, do they say ethereal instead of ethereal? I don't know.
No,
I couldn't blame that on my accent. I think it's too different.
Maybe overseas you're called Rambo instead of Rambo.
Exactly. Yeah. Rambo. I was thinking about changing my name so I'd have an umlaut over the A.
Ah, yeah.
Rambo.
Yeah, as in like an Italian lover or something. I don't know.
That's German.
German, yeah. Whatever.
And then also, we have PM Blue on as a guest today, and we will be talking about Discord bots and their role in Eve Echoes. Believe it or not, there's a lot of bots out there. And, you know, in PM Blue, he's a official content creator specifically for his bot. You know, so Oxos bot, we'll talk with him about that. And, yeah, he's an official botter. Legit, he is an official botter. That's a bannable offense when you think, Rick.
Yeah, maybe in the wrong context if you're not listening to that right. But I mean, it is kind of amazing to think about where our server is now specifically versus where it was 6 months ago, and it's just not even close to being the same thing with all the bots and everything else. I just can't imagine how we would run the server or do all the things that we do outside of the game in order to be able to play the game without a bot. It's just, I think at this point it's just comical.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get into all the details about that. And I got, you know, like my favorite bots and the bots that I use on my Discord, and I'm sure there's hundreds of bots out there.
I got one I'm going to talk about specifically that's going to make everybody go get it tonight. I guarantee you there's going to be at least 20 people listening to this who are going to go put that bot on their server. I guarantee.
There's going to be like some hentai something or other probably.
That's porn.
Okay, anyway. We need to talk about Eve Echoes and all that it is in game news. So I'm going to go over to the official Discord. We'll talk about some of the announcements and patch notes and whatnot. So
all right.
This last week, they had an announcement, and it was just to undergo maintenance. And so it took 120 minutes to complete. We all got our free skill points, but what changed? We did not have a patch notes update with it. So I'm questioning what they did. I don't even know if the game like updated like as a like in a patch, you know, like megabytes. You know, do you remember that?
Yeah, yes, it did. But I don't know if
Okay.
it actually meant anything or what they did.
So
Um,
they changed something. We just don't know what it is yet.
no, no. I mean, you could tell there was a small little patch, but they kept play go up.
You
Uh,
know, and last week we had hinted that they were gonna fix that plagioclase bug,
yeah,
possibly. I think Defnod Spy was the one that was telling me about that, and Arrow had stated that they were looking to fix that this time around. So I don't know if that. I haven't seen any of those kill mails recently to even know if that's still in effect. So
yeah. No, I don't think they did anything to change that. If I know we have one system that's a T7, and when you put that base anomaly detection array thing in it and upgrade it all the way to level 3, you should theoretically be able to make it a T9 system. And that didn't happen until this last update just the other day, and it's been up for 2 weeks. So that was interesting that it took so long. I don't know if it just took another refresh of the servers in order for it to do it, or what the issue was. I don't think
well,
I wouldn't attribute that to the patch, but those patches do something as far as not those patches, but I mean those server maintenance times do something as far as resetting everything and reloading everything back up. I just don't know what.
yeah, to comment on that, I think mine took about 3 weeks to actually roll over.
Mm, mm,
So, and when I was talking to other people in the alliance, they were saying that could take up to a month.
wow. Yeah.
So,
Thankfully, it didn't take us that long.
yeah, some people were like within 5 days, and then other corp was like a month.
Hmm.
So maybe it depends on the system and the security or traffic going through. Don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? It'd be nice to know those mechanics exactly, but they don't. That's not the kind of things they share with us. We just have to figure it out anecdotally, whatever that word is.
Hmm. Yeah, so for patch notes, they did not have any patch notes update for us to read for you. And so, they most likely just updated the market pricing and called it a day. Everybody went home. So,
Yep, yep. It's their time off. It's the Chinese New Year, so we don't expect any of them back until this next week. So, and no, Pashva, I don't think they fixed the island thing. Which, if we have a second to talk about that, we forgot about that yet
oh
again,
yeah,
Rambo.
yeah, we had so much stuff to talk. We have so much stuff to talk about, and little time seems. We end up forgetting to talk about certain things that we wanted to talk about. And I remember after last episode, I was like, "Oh shoot, I wanted to talk about that. We never even got to it."
Yep. There's so much content we put together for everybody that we can't squeeze it all in, even with the length of the show.
So, right? Yeah, just miraculous how that happens.
It is miraculous.
So going on to official media, they had another. So if people, there was a gift grab, right? So I remember telling you about it, where you put the link in and you do whatever the code was, and you got like a skin box.
Right,
Well,
right.
they did another one. They released it a couple days afterwards. They did another gift grab for a different code, and I did that one too, and ended up getting a bunch of like special, not skins, but
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe some weapons or rigs or something. I didn't even bother opening them, really. Um, honestly, it's like, well, okay, that's cool, but I don't really need this stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
the proto rigs are. I mean, I don't know. It depends. I could see some time when you just want to slap together like a T2 frigate with the proto rigs and just go let it fly somewhere and die just for the hell of it. I mean, just. But then again, why would I just take out one of my normal PvP ships and
yeah.
do it for real? But so I don't
Or just reprocess it for like 5 trit.
know. That's so depressing. Oh, and there's some kind of bug too with the capital drops, some of those will obviously the faction ones don't reprocess, but the non-faction ones, all of those are supposed to reprocess. But there's one of them, and I think that's the one with the little. I can picture the graphic, but I can't think of what the name of it is. But it's got the gold satellite dish. It's for your drones. It's a drone mod for a low slot. It doesn't reprocess. I don't know what the deal is with that.
Huh.
Everything
I
else
don't
does.
know. Is it like drone range or something? I don't even remember. I don't use drones that much.
Well, it's for fighters, but yes, I think it is. I think it is. It's not range. I think it's for. It's not flight speed. I think it's their accuracy fall off. So something like that.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
There's more bugs than we know.
Sure. Just fix local.
Fix. Yes. Oh my gosh. We can have an episode just on bugs that they need to fix.
We could, but I don't really want to spend the time to put all that together because it would depress me. The list would be.
It'd be backed by the community. Maybe push it. Or push the urgency a bit more,
True. I guess you could do that where you could say, hey, everybody give us your top 3, your top 4 bugs that you want to see fixed. And then we could rifle through that and just talk about the top 5 or 10 or whatever. And then kind of use that to push the devs as far as what everybody's commonly saying is the same problem. So which I know number one's going to be local. I don't know how it could be anything else. But that causes you the biggest amount of problem.
Right. So let's see. We'll get into some of the latest questions and answers that they had. And this one I thought that was pretty cool. And I've actually bugged the developers about this in our forms that we fill out. And that's about the medals. So this person had asked, it's cool to see more medals introduced. Keep it up. It would be more interesting to offer pilots a small perk for earning and wearing specific medals to create more medals for the ways people play, such as a medal for mining 1 billion M3 of ore could offer the pilot who choose to wear that medal some small mining bonuses. There could be medals for training all skills associated with the ship class 555, earning a certain amount on the market, reaching top tier in faction, etc. So the answer to that was currently medals are mainly given out through some specific events and stories, rather than based on players' in-game achievements. We will later consider fulfilling players' needs for honor and achievement through special achievement system. So as I was reading that question, I was like, this sounds more like an achievement system, basically.
Correct. Either achievements or even like just skill injectors. But yeah, that'd be a different way to handle it. But then medals, I'm not really a big fan of the medals. I mean, they're just, well, the way they are anyway, they're useless. But if you're going to do them in some way where they give you a perk, I mean, that's just another way of, that's like another type of nano core. You're just putting a medal that nobody can see.
Yeah, I don't really care for the perks.
Yeah.
I would rather have a unique medal. So like this
Yep.
one that Slippy had posted.
Who posted?
That's unique to them.
Yeah.
And they need to have another like corporation recruiting contest again where they give medals, custom medals away for that.
Yeah, I remember when they did that with the whole competition with making a YouTube video and all of that. I remember when they did that. We made a video for that way back when. God, that was what, September, October of 2020.
Yeah,
Man, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, October.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
So, and there was one thing that I don't know. The developers had given content creators a special content creator medal, but at the time, I hadn't applied to that. I think it may have only been to the senior content creators at the time.
They should give,
but for whatever reason, I didn't apply to it.
They should give all the content creators a special nano core that is so bright you can see it from 4 systems away, so we can hunt Benzie down. I'm just kidding.
Wow. Just his name in local. Like, hey, Benzie, ahoy! People say hi to him all the time. Damon Zell. And Damon Zell, he plays it too. He plugs his show and whatnot. He knows he's famous.
Sure.
So, yeah. So going on to the another question that they had: any plans on freight? Some ideas I've heard is doing away with regional delivery and a warp speed bonus and high and low sec. So the answer to that was they are planning on optimizing the delivery. It's divided into two main directions. One is to improve players' willingness to send shipments and generate more demand for transportation. The other is to reduce the risk for couriers. Man, I don't know. That whole aspect of the game is
Jacked
not
up.
me. Is I don't have a urge to go and deliver somebody else's,
No.
you know, stuff, right? Unless there's actually money to be made in that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, way back in the day, I wanted to make some AFK ISK, and I was buying some shipments, and I was doing that type of stuff, and then I got to the point where I bought one, and I couldn't even ship it because I didn't have the skills or the proper ship to even do it. And so I still have that person's box even to this day. And it haunts me every time I go into personal inventory, personal assets. And it's in Alicura,
Oh,
it's in
geez.
the ITC there.
So it's in your list. It's a
And
list of all the places you have stuff. Oh, man.
yes, it's in the list, and I see it every time I go through my assets. And actually, I was thinking about that. Um, I want to say it was Eason Carter. He was offering people that had those boxes to. He will kill you because he's got 555 and the ability to be able to hack those boxes.
Mm.
So if you have one of those boxes and you need to open it, you meet up with a person with those skills, and they kill you in hopes that it will drop. Then they open it and see what's in it,
Yep. Yep.
rather than you spending 50 days training, to be able to open that. So I don't know if it always drops. I think there's some instances where it has
Where it does
dropped.
not. Yeah. Yeah. Because everything has some sort of percentage chance. Just about everything does.
And I don't know about jetting the delivery either. I have not seen or even tried that.
Don't think you can, but that would be interesting. Well, of course, yeah. In Eve Echo Slippy, yeah. Of course, the modified modules never. I have a Harbinger specifically fit with just test and modified stuff, so that I get the whole thing back. That way, I can just go put it way over in someone else's territory and do whatever I want to. And if they kill me, they get nothing, and I get it all back. It's not the best ship, but whatever.
Right. So another question that they had is the new faction war game mode is awesome. Thanks for the possibility of trying out my own ships in real PvP battles. Would it be possible to see the health of teammate when you follow someone in a normal fleet battle?
Can't
They
you
say
just
that
lock
they're
them?
working on a. Well, I think that results in a potential ban offense, right?
If you
When you get
lock your own
kicked out of
teammate?
something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I don't
haven't,
know
I haven't,
too
I
much.
haven't tried it with Logis or anything. So when I read that question, I'm like thinking, well, what do you mean? So a Logi that goes in there can't rep his own teammate?
Well, they're working on a permanent version of the DIR reflection, and the visibility of the teammate HP should only apply when you are in a capsule, but it's good feedback. They'll consider adding it to future modes. Differences between the normal and wargame fleet are so slight that I don't see any reason to change it. They're also exploring
Whatever.
different team sizes and combat formats for new modes.
Yeah. So I mean, they should have a couple of different variations of it where they have size restrictions. So it's frigates, destroyers, cruisers, and then it's battle cruisers, battleships, two different size maybe. Um, and maybe they have one that's totally opened up to where you can have your carriers and dreadnoughts there. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, bringing some carrier action there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, especially this time of the game too. More people have carriers than when they dropped, obviously. So I don't know. They keep losing them too.
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
Tahini post all these kill mails of carriers.
A lot of them. Yeah. A lot of capitals dying. But yeah, I mean, basically, like the guys in chat are saying right now, why can't you just make it exactly like, the real game? with the restriction of obviously you've got an area of which you can play in, and you can't just warp away and dock. That's the only thing that should be different. Everything else should be the same, and you should be able to lock your own guys. How else are you going to use Logi? That would change the entire. See, the whole thing, and we'll talk about this with EtherealMind when we play his clip here shortly. But the whole thing is switched over to it's just faction battleships. It's just 3-on-3 faction battleships, and it's just who's got whichever mix of range or snipe or brawl or whatever that wins the day. But it's all giant faction battleships. So I mean, that's not. When do you run into a Nightmare, an Apoc Striker, and a Mach as a 3-man gang that you can just go and hit? That doesn't ever happen.
No, not at all. Yeah, so we'll talk a bit about that later. And in this question I especially liked, and I remember talking to you before this. The question is, thank you for your feedback.
Yeah.
So they had the question and the answer actually mixed up. So the actual question is, special drones like mining and E-war drones are missing completely. Can we expect at least mining drones this year? So they say, thanks for the feedback, but we currently have no plans to introduce more drones with different uses due to the performance pressure that they will bring.
Yeah. They're basically saying drones kill our game, so we're not going to put more of them in.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, and I would back that 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I understand that. That basically, though, means we're going to have capital mining lasers for these Rorquals and Orcas when they come out instead of having drones for them. So, I mean, if you go and look at the description of an Orca in the game right now, which you can go and find it, you can just do a search on the market for Orca. You'll find the skin. Click on the skin, then you'll see the ship it goes to. Click on the ship, and you get the stats. And that's the stats for the Orca. And it's totally effed up. Makes no sense. Even talks about gas harvesting. So, good luck with that.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's been there for a long time. It's been there since probably April last year when I think someone pointed it out that was there. But yeah, I don't know what they're gonna have to change that up quite a bit, especially with there being no drones, because that Orca has 4 drone slots and 4 high slots. And if you can't, maybe you just put strip miners in it, regular old strip miners. I don't know. That God, I hope not. It'd be 4 strip miners, but shit, it better be capital lasers if that's where they're going.
Capital quality.
Yeah, something, right? Then again, I mean, look at the size of the rocks in the asteroid belts. You put one of those suckers out there with capital lasers, the order of magnitude. I mean, geez, you're just going to wipe a belt in, 5 minutes? I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Well, maybe a belt, but what about like a cluster?
Yeah, well, belts and clusters take about the same amount of time, it feels like. When you've got 4 or 5 Cov 2s there, you just wipe the whole thing pretty quick as it is, 15 minutes. Right. But yeah, so I don't know how the Orcas and the Rorquals are going to be affected with this patch, balance patch, and the introduction in May and all that. I don't know how that's going to be affected without mining drones or even salvaging drones, because that right there kind of tells me they're not even going to do that.
What's this mining foreman thing that they're talking about? I know it's from EVE Online, but I don't really know anything about it.
Well, it's just like a command burst. It's anything like that. You get a boost to the either the amount of mineral. I forget which one it is in EVE Online, but it's either the amount of minerals harvested or it's a boost to your efficiency. Yeah, mining speed boost basically is all it is. However they word it. Oh, I didn't know they had one for range. I don't know why you'd need that. I guess you could use that, but not really. Not in EVE Echoes. In EVE Online, sure. In EVE Echoes, the range, I don't know.
Imagine a capital laser range. Would it be like 100 km?
That would be 1 AU.
Carrier drone range.
Right. Which is 500, yeah.
1 AU.
And they even have a rig that extends that. Like, who is going to use that?
That's good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So they also released their latest ban notice, and they had banned 1,225 accounts. And from the looks of it, it's mostly from abnormal anomaly behavior. And I say that every time. And I don't know what they are considering as abnormal anomaly behavior, but somehow people are getting caught for that. It's like, dude, I can rat for
Yeah.
8 hours, and not get flagged. But what are these people doing that are getting flagged by it?
I don't know. It's got to be. Well, it's got. Let's just take a hint from the devs themselves. It has to be what one of those questions was about. If you jump into Anomaly and there's 8 tornadoes there and they all lock you instantly, what's the correct thing you should do? And that is to report them as a bot. So that's got to be what they're thinking.
But the NPCs are reporting you, not other players.
Right.
So, anyway, yeah, that's the latest ban notice, and I don't know if I don't know if much people like follow the official Eve Echoes news and stuff, like what we would go through. But in their official media, they had posted this today, actually, this morning for me. And it's titled, "Let's play a little game. Tap on the GIF below and take a screenshot. What you get is what you have to do next.
Yep.
Let's see what you get." So I pressed play on it, and I was like, okay. And then I actually used the snip tool on my computer. And I pulled up, what was it? Walk around naked.
Yep.
Was what I had to do next.
And so for
like,
proof, yeah.
Why is that an option?
I have no idea, but for proof of that, I've actually got, and for anybody who wants to get on and watch this show on YouTube, which this is actually going to go on YouTube starting this week, I've actually got the webpage pulled up that shows this on their Twitter feed, and I've got it stopped where it says walk around naked. And so here's a couple of the different ones. I'm going to click it now and just try to grab another one. One of them is play Eve Echoes, so that's funny. Another one is eat a donut. Another one is take a nap. Sing a song, only if you're in HONK. Play Eve Echoes again. Walk around naked. Doesn't take very long. You will click it and stop it and get walk around naked. That's freaking hysterical. I mean, that's almost.
I did not expect that.
No. That's pretty good.
It starts at play Eve Echoes. Okay, it's going to be like all game related type stuff. and then I got that. Okay.
No.
It was screenshot worthy. Let's just say that.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's like what?
Yeah, and I caught it on my computer too. I was just seeing if it worked. I didn't know if I could, press play, have it play, and then actually use the snip tool to be able to get a screenshot of it. But it allowed it, so it's something people can do.
In the chat, Pixel Rick wants to know, wait, why y'all not naked when you play?
Well, depends, I suppose. When there are times, actually, not to get into
pants optional. That brings a whole new meaning to Slippy Slappy. All right.
Oh, jeez. So, going on, that's actually it for official media, and they did not have any player support news or Discord announcements. So that is it for game news. That's official game news. So we'll be seeing the devs back this week, I believe.
We should.
Maybe next week.
Yeah, I would think so.
I originally said the 15th, but people were saying otherwise, so I wasn't sure if they actually came back this week or next week. But based off of the patch notes, it's probably next week. So.
Yep, I would think so.
All right. So with all that, we will cut to a quick commercial break, and then we'll get into the juicy stuff.
All right.
Achieved YouTube, for people who want to achieve more. I am a gamer and I'm a father of 4. My channel involves jokes, tips and tricks, podcasts and stories, as well as trying to give you that couch gaming feeling we all had back in the days, before internet. So if you want to improve your gameplay or way of playing your games today, I'm right here, and my community Discord are created to involve everyone to take part in enjoying a healthy gaming life. After I became a father, I lost touch with pretty much all my gaming friends, and playing on mobile as well as the computer sometimes, I still felt alone. I didn't really have anyone to talk to or share my gaming progress with. This channel is my way of making sure that if you are in the same situation I was, you can simply join us and experience it all anew. Subscribe and join now. Let us be your couch gaming friends on Achieved YouTube.
GRA is a tactical group geared towards guerrilla warfare, consisting of flexible pilots who adapt to any and all developments of the game, utilize tactics together with the team, thrive under pressure in small game warfare, be part of a federation. Apply by contacting a GRA representative or join their Discord at elguerrilla.online. More info can be found at www.elguerrilla.com. Become part of the legend.
Docking request accepted.
All right, and we're back. Yeah, so what is going on with the Void and Honk dispute? Rick, what's going on with that?
So we got a little bit of feedback, if you want to call it that, from last week's show. So let me get that pulled up here real quick. Yeah, it was quite interesting to hear some of this feedback too about all of that. And they aren't really, let's see, I'll go pull it up here. Here it is. So for those that don't know, their intermittent belts were actually released in the game April last year sometime. I mean, it was March, April time when they first started showing up. It was a brand new thing, and those intermittent belts would, when they would ever show up, they would spawn other belts that would be condensed belts or decaying belts, and that's where you would get condensed rock, not compressed rock that we have now, that you can compress now, but just condensed. So it'd be 10 times more than your average amount of material, whereas compressed is 100 times more. Anyway, long story short, intubescent belts are gone. They're not a thing unless they just happen to have been there this whole time. Well, there was 3 of these belts, intumescent belts, that Void's been protecting ever since they came out, so that they would keep spawning these other belts. And Honk decided to go and take them out and free the rocks. That's where that whole thing came from that we talked about last week. So here is the press release from Void, and I asked them today for a little bit more clarification on this, just to make sure this was the only thing they wanted me to read, and I'd got 0 response, so we're going to read it anyway. It says the Honk campaign. It all started with them suddenly attacking our Intus for no reason. We tried to resolve Honk's fixation on our intermittent belts through diplomacy, but that failed due to Honk deciding to troll us even in the Diplo room and asking us a ransom to leave our intermittents alone. We tried working with silent leadership as well, but any attempts at making Honk leave the belt failed, and we lost the last one after repeated Honk attacks. We tried to repay Honk the content by taking something from them, just like they took the intumescence from us. We welcome content and Honk, through their nonstop aggression on our intermittent belts, indicated that they welcomed content too. This is by no means a word declaration on Honk, just us appreciating the content. And basically the content is they're going out and taking out all of Honk's outposts in Syndicate. So that was their official statement. We know they've taken out several pauses. I don't know how many yet. I don't have a number. I did ask them for, okay, great. How many have you taken out? One of a member of Void said they've taken out more than 20, but I don't have anything official from them on that. And I don't know on the silent side what else was said. When they said they reached out to Silent, I don't recall seeing anything from anybody, so I don't have any more content on the backside of it for Silent. So,
Yeah, they're claiming that Silent had spoke to Honk and told Honk not to do it, but Honk decided to do it anyway.
right.
So, there's got to be some clarity there as to, what was actually said,
Right.
and, compared to what they're claiming. So, and whether or not Honk actually ignored that. Did they ignore that, or did they just say, no, we're just going to do this anyway because it's content?
Yeah, I don't know. And
So, go ahead.
well, I mean, I'm going to say something kind of controversial here and maybe piss some people off, but whatever. I mean, How many pilots are there in Honk? If you can't stop them, I mean, a whole alliance can't stop 30 guys. Please, you've done something wrong, Void. I mean, that's my comment there. So,
Well, yeah, and you can, they're attacking POSs, and I think the warfare, the punishment was to, and I'm not really gonna say warfare, but I'm gonna say the punishment was to deplete Honk of all their POSs in Syndicate and Fountain, and then that was gonna be it. Like, the feud is over. Okay, you took the Square Rocks, we're gonna take all your outposts and call it a deal. But at this time, I almost want to say that it kind of depends on the day of the week now, where, is this going to escalate all of a sudden
yeah,
and become more of a thing,
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not.
So, and you were talking about some of the feedback that we got, and I'd gotten a lot of feedback the next day about that article that I had read from Honk. And, though it was very entertaining and very good, I got a lot of complaints that it was very one-sided and that it was diluted from the truth and far from the truth. And, I was accused of being Honk's propaganda machine and all that. And, I had a
Honk doesn't need
deny
any
that
help
because-
with propaganda. They don't need any help with the propaganda war. They do fine on
Right,
their own with that.
exactly.
I mean, and I'm not sure how it could have been one-sided or misconstrued that way when all you were doing at the time was actually reading from the wall that had Void Diplo and Honk Diplo in it.
Yeah.
I mean, how is that misconstruing facts? We're reading what is actually on the same wall that both Void Diplo and Honk Diplo.
Well, part of it too, and I mean, I will admit to this because I did not actually ask Void's side of it. After reading the article, it pretty much gives you all the reasoning, because it told Honk's reason as to why they decided to do it. The Diplo behind it provided the links and screenshot. I thought that was a pretty good article to be able to say on air.
Sure.
And get info out, and I did confront the person who had sent it to me, and it's like, hey, I'm getting complaints about this article, it's diluted and not very true. And basically it said that aside from the 4 jokes that were blatant, it was all true. So, it's
Yeah.
like, well, take it how you wish, right?
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
um,
at the end of the day, however it got started, whoever wants to say what, the intermissive belts were mined, and then Void decided to take the last one out on their own. And they even threw a big party to take it out. They had a dreadnought there that mined it, as the last rock was actually mined by a freaking capital. So, I mean, if they really wanted to save their square rocks, they wouldn't have taken the last one out. So I guess, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to sound one-sided here. I'm just reporting what I've been told over the last week. It's very all over the place as far as where it all lays out. It's messy, but it is what it is. And now, of course, Void is hitting outposts, and they're taking down the Honk outposts. Okay, fine, whatever. But they're also taking out outposts that don't belong to Honk in the same area. So, Void saying that they're not doing that. Void is saying that their FCs know very well that they're only taking out Honk outposts, but Dabs, DABZ, isn't Honk, and they took out one of those outposts. So,
yeah, supposedly they're claiming that Dabs is part of Honk.
well, they're not. So,
There's
I mean,
a lot of characters and a lot of POSs out there. So.
yeah, I mean, and accidents happen, and that's a risk you're willing to take if you're going to go out and start shooting structures. That's a risk you're willing to take. So, I mean, it is what it is.
So anyway, as far as future stories goes, we'll be getting both sides. At least reach out to them, whether or not we'll get both sides of it or not, to be able to get more accurate.
At this point, God, I hope not, because I mean, I'm tired of talking about it.
I know, right? Yeah. So.
I mean, Honk is saying they timered one of the Dabs outposts themselves. So, I mean, I guess maybe you actually helped Honk, Void, by taking one out. I don't know. I don't know. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, moving on. I don't really want to talk about it that much more.
No, I don't either. I don't either.
Kind of sick of talking about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It's
We'll
play.
just see what all unfolds in the future with this, right? If it
I'm
escalates,
sure we will
cool.
hear
If it
some
doesn't,
Yeah, I'm sure we'll hear some feedback.
well, I'm always appreciative of feedback too, whether
Yeah,
it's
of
good or
course,
bad.
of course.
If I'm out of line, put me in line. I'll give you reasoning as to what I thought. I thought that article was sufficient enough to be considerably a good article to talk about that feud. And even though I thought it was, not all of the community thought it was. I did get good feedback on that as well too. So there were people that actually did enjoy that and thought it was funny, but there's others that did not. So
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
Hey, at the end of the day, it's a
So-
game, and we're just having fun playing it, and we can make jokes about all the stupid things we all do in the game and say outside of the game on Discord and have a good laugh. And if we were all to meet up at a bar somewhere, have a beer, and listen to someone sing a song, and then go back to shooting each other in the game. So
Right.
that's my
Exactly.
opinion on it.
Yep. Yeah, so aside from that, heck, last weekend, can you believe it? The war with SHH and Genfed is now officially over.
Yeah, I was actually very surprised by that. I was like, what? What? So to me, it came out of the blue. So
Yeah.
not like PM
And,
blue, but just out of the blue.
I do have a bit of details about that, and I know there's a lot of questions asking why did the war end, and who reached who first, and why did all of a sudden it just end like this? And I think coincidentally it was after the WX battle that SHH did not take the fight on.
I can't say
So-
this. I'm going to just make a prediction, and I'm probably going to be wrong here in a few seconds when you read through it, because I haven't seen all the stuff you have. I haven't read. I saw you post something, but I didn't get a chance to read any of it. So whatever material you have for this is going to be a surprise to me. But my one prediction is going to be the war did not end because we don't have enough pilots on either side to fight it. I guarantee that's not the reason why it ended. There's plenty of pilots in the game still, and there's plenty of pilots willing to fight on both sides. I guarantee that's not the reason. So, but anyway, maybe I'm going to be wrong in a second, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, in leadership and corp leaders and all that, they do view attrition as part of the game. So there's morale and everything behind that
Sure.
goes behind these wars, and that kind of sway it, I guess you could say. If morale is good on one side and it starts affecting the other side, you know what I mean? So.
Yep.
But there's a lot of questions when this first broke, like breaking news. I think SHH had the announcement first. At least that's how I heard of it. And then following that, 'cause
Yeah, I think I
broke the
told you.
news,
I
and
think
then-
I told you that night. And you were
no,
like,
I
"Where'd
was
you see
playing the
that?"
game.
Yeah.
I was playing the game and I got the ping for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I read it real quick, and then I pinged the show Discord. Hey, breaking news! The war is now officially called off.
Yeah.
And then I think there's even a Genfed member that did a question mark, like what?
Yeah,
They hadn't known yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a lot of questions floating around, and I seen this in Alliance chat, and I'm sure Genesis was seeing it in their chats as well, as to who won or who reached out first. Technically, if it's down to the timestamp, it was Zen from SHH reached out to Genesis first. Okay, so there's that myth busted, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So Zen had reached Mamasaurus Rex for a peaceful resolution. So here's what it said: I'd like to offer a peaceful resolution to this current conflict with Gen. We are offering these terms in good faith and with the desire to ensure that your organization doesn't collapse any further due to this conflict with a silent federation. Our terms are follows. Number 1, our organization standings are returned to a neutral status with one another. 2, acceptance of a mutual NIP, so no attacks of structures or bases.
Yep.
And 3, 48-hour grace period after a peace agreement is met to resolve the standings and communicate resolution to the conflict across all forces. So, Momosaurus and Zen, they were going back and forth a little bit, talking about the 48 hours and whatnot. So Momosaurus came back with this. So, and the timestamp I'm not sure of as to when this came back, but they came back with a counter offer. What, counter? I'm missing the word right now, but
Counter offer, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm
came back
laughing
with it.
because I'm reading one of her responses that PM Blue put in, and she goes and she says, "I want to make sure I understand the basis of this simple proposal." It's literally 3 bullet points. I'm sorry. That's funny, Mama. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually. Oh wait, I do have that in the screenshot.
Yeah. Well, PM Blue put that in the on the air chat. That's why.
Yeah, but I had the original one.
Gotcha.
And she came back with this counter proposal. So both parties presenting in good faith and recognizing the ineffectual and unhealthy nature of sovereignty war 80 jumps away, and with concerns to the general health of the player base, hereby enter in good faith agreement for a non-invasion under the following terms. And so she definitely listed out much more detailed, in-depth terms. So both parties under the umbrella alliances known as Genesis Federation and Silent Federation recognize sovereign regional territory as follows. Genesis regions, SHH regions, any regional expansions must be on good faith basis and accompanied with notice to the other party. Okay, so there's that. Both parties will articulate within 24 hours of acceptance the alliances to fall under this agreement. Alliances may be added with direct notice to Momosaurus Rex for Gen and the current name executor of SHH. And so then they name their alliances once again. Gen and the SHH will accept a mutual non-invasion pact. That's the NIP.
Yep.
And it provides the following economic provisions. No attacking other party structures and sovereign regions as listed in paragraph 1. No resetting of NPC bases within the other party's sovereign regions as listed in paragraph 1. No deployment of structures in the other party's sovereign region as listed in paragraph 1. So kind of like your basic non-evasion stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
No employment, contracting, coercion.
Coercion.
I'm not sure what that word. Or other utilization of third-party actors or proxies to enact combat on either party or to circumvent the above provisions.
So basically, don't go contract. No, gotcha.
Yeah. All other forms of military or economic activity cross-region, regardless of sovereignty, are considered acceptable, including but not limited to fleet roams, solo roaming, poaching, NPC activities, gate camps, incursions, interrupting activities not otherwise prohibited in these provisions. So she definitely had a much more in-depth proposal here.
Yeah, sounds like it.
So instead of a 48 hours, they were counter-proposing a 24-hour grace period will be granted after the effective date to resolve standings and diplomatic administrative concerns and to communicate appropriate resolution as well as notification of NIP to all applicable parties. And so let's see. And forces, all major Citadel hull attacks will cease immediately upon acceptance. Both parties agreed to the NIP will remain in force indefinitely unless a minimum of 96 hours formal notice to Momosaurus Rex for Gen and the current name executor of SHH is given, informing an end to the protections herein. So that was their counter proposal, and I'm guessing Zen agreed to it because here we are. Now
Here we are. Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
So a lot of disputes as to, I wouldn't say disputes, but a lot of people are saying or questioning like who won. The first we debunked the whole who reached out first. Okay.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, people are like, well, who won? I want to say at the end of the day, each side can pat themselves on the back and say, "Hey, we won." You know, SHH had their wins. Genesis had their wins.
Yep.
They're both like in existence. That's a win in itself right there too.
Correct.
They didn't they didn't implode from the inside or anything. You know, they held together. They both suffered beatings and all that, and
Yep.
you know they're still around. They both won. So what else? What more do you want? Now you did provide some numbers here. Take us through some of the numbers here. Some of the latest numbers up to the ceasefire.
These numbers are almost 2 weeks old, so they do not include all the action that happened the last week of the war, last week basically. And last week there were 3 Citadel kills by Silent on Genfed, and there were 10 pause kills on that same day. So, not to mention all the fleet action, wins, losses, whatever, by either side. All of that for last week is not included in these numbers. But up before that, and we should be able to get those numbers soon. We're waiting on those numbers. I'll put it that way. So maybe PM Blue can tell us more about that. Maybe he can't. I don't know. But the numbers that I had so far was just in total in terms of dollars damage done. If you look at it from that standpoint, then Silent won this war because it's 7.855 trillion ISK in damages versus Genfed's 6.056 trillion ISK in damages. So almost 2 trillion more in damages than Silent over Genfed. Sorry, I keep wanting to say Shush. So from that standpoint, from just the dollars amounts, I don't see that. Maybe the gap might get smaller, but that's $2 trillion worth of damages, and I don't see in the last week, from what I know of those battles, Genfed making up that gap when you add in just the 3 Citadels and 10 pauses on top of that. So, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We'll see when we get the final numbers. Those are not the final numbers. Those are the numbers as of almost 2 weeks ago. And once we get those final numbers, we'll talk about them here on the show, and I'm sure more numbers get reported by PM Blue and his Oculus bot, we'll get those as well, and then we'll be able to compare, because that's where I got those numbers from. So we shall see.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you for those, and everybody won. I'm actually I'm kind of sad that it's over now.
A little bit, yeah.
It's like, what is there to do now?
Oh, no.
There's not like I seen someone say it. They said that the game is boring now without CTA pings.
Yeah, I mean, for those that live for the CTAs, sure. I got plenty. There's plenty for me to do. There's so much to do, and I got to finally be able to have the time to do my own roam the other night. So we did a roam, and for those people we killed, you know where we went. So that was fun. I'm finally getting to where I can go and do that with a small group, because I have time, because I'm not, either CTAing or doing something else through the rest of the day, and then got no time to catch up with things that night. So, yeah. So no, there's plenty to do. There's plenty to do when you're not doing a CTA. Just go on a roam, get a small squad, go have some fun. I will say that we tried. I will say we tried armor roams before, and as much as I want to make armor work, it just doesn't. I'm going to piss people off with that, but you can make it work, but God, you lose so much DPS when you do it. You just do. You almost have to have 2 armor guardians in each, or an armor. You got to have 2 Logi basically for armor in each squad in order to make it right. Whether one of them's a guardian and one's a Logi, or 2 are guardians with the armor link, or what. Yeah, it's just a nightmare. So yeah, shields is the way to go in this game, unfortunately, in my opinion. So someone might prove me wrong. I doubt it.
Shield has always been king, it seems.
Yep.
Since the game started.
Now maybe they'll do a balance patch here in May and totally screw all that up. We'll see. Careful what you wish for with the devs coming back. Yeah, Pashva, I love armor too. That's all I did in EVE Online was armor and rails forever and ever and ever. And now in this game, it's shields and lasers, and it's like, It took me a long time to get used to that. That's all I am, is shields and lasers. So, other than a little bit of armor that I did for figuring that out, but whatever.
Well, speaking of shields and lasers, we will get into the next segment now with Ethereal and
Yeah,
the
looking forward to it.
DR. And I think he literally spent the whole week playing DIR.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to talk about it, and they, I have to this day even have to try DIR faction war games once. It's not my thing. I don't really care to go to an NPC station at a certain time of day and go and play V3 or whatever. I just don't find interest in it. But some people do. That's their thing. So that's cool.
Some people do. Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of niched toward people that just want a quick fix, and then they'd be off and doing their own thing, right? So, yeah. So I got this clip from Ethereal and Val once again, and they talked about faction BSs and all fun stuff in the DIR. So let's check it out.
All right.
Welcome to TBRN. I'm EtherealMind, and with me is Valazar. Today, what we're going to be talking about is faction battleships in DIR war games. Val, we've been doing just a few nights of DIR war games. We unpacked the faction battleships and rolled them up to an NPC station and started blapping. And we think the rattlesnake might be a bit OP.
Well, the rattlesnake is certainly a very, very strong ship in DIR. I mean, with the usual tank setup, we will see rattlesnakes being able to tank about 2 other battleships reliably. So because they have drones that deal tons of damage, they can bypass nightmare bubbles and kill snipers that are inside. So in that way they kind of negate the nightmare effect.
Especially when they've got Republic drones like Republic Berserkers or
I mean, of course they will have that, right? I mean, it's free. The unfortunate thing about DIR is how the meta really works, right? If you don't have a pretty optimal setup, then you will lose a lot. So if you don't have 3 faction battleships or maybe a striker, T10 or faction battleships, and probably also either a nightmare or a Balgorn or something like that. I mean, there's a number of different sort of setups that you can go for. I feel like the most consistently powerful one would be Nightmare, Vindicator, Balgorn.
We've been running Nightmare, Vindicator, and Strike Fit Macarial. Snubfit Vindicator.
Which is also okay. It's just not as good as Balgorn.
It kind of worked out okay overall. There's kind
it
of
works
a thing.
Fine as long as you don't meet a Nightmare, a Balgorn, and a Vindicator.
Yeah, because the Balgorn will take out, will wipe something off the field, like reduce your DPS or won't take your Nightmare down.
Problem is it'll take your Vindicator off the field.
That's right, and you need your Vindicator to web things so that you can hit it.
So, and if they have their Vindicator, then they choose, range, and we don't. And it's a little bit. I wish there were more constellations that were viable. Maybe they should mix up, engagement range so that you don't necessarily know that you're going to get a sniper, or maybe you can configure weight classes, especially. I think would be really, really important so that people who are not in faction battleships can actually succeed. Because if you're not, T9, T10, something like that with a faction battleship, then you have pretty much automatically lost.
Yeah, and we found that a few times. We turned up in the Vindy Macarial Nightmare, Tank Fit Nightmare. On the other side was a Caracal, a Cinnabal, and you were able to blap them before they even got 20 kilometers off the start mark.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's just not... I don't think that's great gameplay. I mean, it works okay for us because we have, these high-end ships, but I think for the game as a whole, it would be a lot more fun for everybody, really. If there would be several weight classes, then I could also, fly my other cool ships around, maybe fly, some Vexor navies or something. I think that would be cool.
So weren't we just talking about that? How they should introduce weight classes in
Yeah.
For people, it's like, okay, hey, I want to use my cruiser, but I don't want to go up against battleships.
Well, yeah. I mean, if at this point, if you're not in 3 faction battleships, you're in trouble.
Which, I mean, that kind of sucks in a way. It's like there's
in a way it does, but I mean.
There's specific tactics that you would use using 3 battleships versus anything compared to using 3 destroyers versus anything. Whether or not you come out on top, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
until
having the
and,
weight class.
yeah, and until there's a balance patch, destroyers are just going to be what they are, which is not used. But and I know you fly one. I just
Occasionally,
occasionally, yeah.
I busted out my Thrasher 2 interdictor the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I will preface it by saying that too. That sure, for the interdictor, the destroyer interdictors and dropping bubbles, doing the bubbler stuff around a gate and all that. That's fine. Yeah, that's about the only thing you should use a destroyer for right now, unless you specifically just want to make a whole bunch of destroyers and go out on a roam like that. Okay, so
Yeah. Well, faction war game seems to be all faction right now, right? Was that like intended?
well,
Was faction how did faction war games even get its name like that? Was it intended to be faction warfare, or is it just because these are the best ships in the game right now?
no, I think it's because they're probably the best ships in the game right now for that kind of thing, for max DPS and tank. I don't think the devs intended it to be factions. I know there was a little bit of a theory stuff going around about that's how they're going to get their data for their balance patches, as if there's not enough PvP happening already in the game to get that kind of data. But maybe they're able to collect it a little more since it's a little more isolated from the rest of the game. I don't know. But yeah, you're right, Snacks. I mean, the races are factions, so there's that too. But at any rate, yeah, I don't know.
And actually, Ethereal and Val, they actually talked about that, as in,
Mm-hmm.
what's the purpose of DIR? Are we just guinea pigs?
Right.
Check it out.
I was thinking about what the purpose of DIR is to NetEase, and it strikes me that it might actually be a way to get us to do the work for the rebalancing that's coming up later this year. And if you're putting 3-on-3 ships and there's a standout balancing error in the stack, it's going to stand out from these DIRs, don't you think?
Yeah, maybe, but I think the main purpose is simply to provide a new gaming experience. I mean, right now they've had this faction warfare, which is super limited in its scope, because you can only fly specific ships with specific setups.
Yeah.
And very few of them are viable. So everybody flies the same thing, right?
Well, there's no point in flying them in real life, like flying an Algos.
No, you'd never fly these ships in the game itself, right? And it's also a lot more fun that you can build your own and then take that in and try it out against other people, right? So when you see that, super tank Abaddon, for example, I think that's kind of cool that you can have that. I mean, I just wish that you could also have your super tank, whatever,
It is good in the sense that you just normally don't take your faction battleships into PvP, right? And so in this sense, it's probably the only time but you still have to refit them. Like, we still had to take the Vindicator and go 4 webs so that you can take down 2 rattlesnakes, because you can web the drones and then blap the drones.
And that generally works. But I think what would be really great if they had like a point system, really a little bit like wargaming, where you have a certain amount of points that you can field on the battlefield. Then here, let's say that you could field, let's say 20 points worth of stuff, and then you could bring your faction battleship, right? But you could also, but if you do bring your faction battleship, then you can only bring 2 Tristans or something,
I nearly bought a core for my
people
Tris.
can maybe field 3 Gilas or something.
I hit the LP store today and there was a Tristan thermomagnetic core.
Yeah. Oh man!
I was thinking, like,
what would
waste
your money?
I mean, that would be a waste of money, but it would be a good laugh to own a fully whacked out thermomagnetic core for a Tristan.
I mean,
Tristan...
I did bling out a Tristan once, and then it met an interceptor and died horribly.
So just something about his laugh is just a little contagious.
It is. It is.
But yeah, and getting these is like, are we really guinea pigs for the next balance update? Are the devs actually looking at this as a performance, saying, okay, maybe we need a buff, or debuff some of this stuff, or
Well, they're only going to get it out of faction battleships if that's the case. So please, please, for the love of God, don't buff or debuff that. Jeez.
And to add on from last week's show, that's the meta right now. It's faction battleship.
Right.
So, man, they just talk about that type of stuff. It kind of just makes you think. But then also, Slippy had said too in the chat, you have to look at it from system mechanics and not necessarily balancing. So,
well, what system mechanics can they learn from a DIR event that they can't learn from the PvP action they're seeing now? Is it just that I guess you could make that argument if for some reason
more consolidated, you would think.
Yeah, exactly. If for
Separate
some reason they
servers.
can't, if they can't record the PvP data as cleanly and crisply as they can with a 3v3 isolated, I guess that would make more sense. And that's probably the
Well,
case actually, but
you would think too, in these huge battles that are taking place with hundreds of players, a lot of the info can be like crowded, as to what happened. This is why people's webs weren't working. And was it because they were desynced, or was it because there was like some sort of mechanical like game issue because of how many players that there were that was stopping your web from actually activating when that player was in range?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I do know what you mean.
It's easier to track that in DIR than at a battle with 500 people, where it may actually happen with a lot of people in those larger battles, but there's still a lot of people that may not be, using activating webs at the same time and all that. But anyway, it's a lot of info.
It is. It does make more sense too if you think about it from this way. If they're going to introduce something new into the game, and they've been talking, then you put it in DIR first to do this very thing you're talking about, right? Because all the other stuff, like, is the web working right? Is like, God, the game's been out for a year and a half. Why wouldn't it be working at this point? You should have, fixed that a long time ago. But obviously, there's lots of things that should have been fixed a long time ago. But when ammunition comes out, is it going to come out in DIR first? That would be interesting, right?
Yeah, you have a good point on that.
Yeah, so I mean, when they introduce new stuff, or maybe when they do start to play with the balance patches, they put those balance patches into DIR first. I mean, that would be smart, right? If you've made yourself a miniature version sandbox of your game that you want to use to get any kind of analytics back on, then I would think you'd want to use it to introduce your new content first, not only to see how players use it, but to also see how well it works or doesn't work, or where it needs to be adjusted, or at the very least give you some ideas for those balance patches coming. So yeah, no, I mean, all in all, you can look at it so many different ways. We could just talk about this for the whole night, but I mean, you can look at it so many different ways. But what the great thing is about it is a different way to play the game. It gives you a way to train yourself and learn a little bit. It's just unfortunate that it's only restricted to faction battleships at this point. Otherwise, you're dead. Which means they need to have some different classifications for it, which is fine. That'd be great. More options is always better. Just don't give us another currency for it.
Right. Yeah. And going forward here with the Eclipse, and Ethereal and Val actually did talk about other ships going into faction war games and some tactics behind those.
What a great lead-in! It's as if I listened to this audio clip beforehand.
Amazing.
I didn't, but yeah.
But I found it really enjoyable when we get in and we're up against like an Apoc Striker and a Macarial and a Nightmare. Like the faction battleship remains king, even though the T10 battleships have really got a place, like the Apoc Striker as a T10 battleship, and the Rogue.
Actually, the Raven Striker has a great place as well. We see that a lot. It really works in this environment. But I think what is perhaps the most interesting in the fights that are kind of tactical is so there is a Vindicator Battle, which can be pretty interesting sometimes because you have to like position yourself inside the bubble if you have a Nightmare and a Vindicator. Then you're gonna have to position yourself correctly, right? So the Vindy needs to be a little ahead of the Nightmare, so that, like, it's at the edge of the bubble, so it is at the best possible position to control the enemy before they can
And
control
that's
your
so the
fleet.
opponent's Vindicator is shooting through your bubble, through your
Exactly.
nightmare bubble, and you're getting
Yeah.
all the resistances. But in a
Yeah.
perfect world, you're inside his bubble.
Yeah, and that's maybe possible. I mean, it is possible sometimes, but it's a lot easier if you're the one controlling the battlefield, right? So I think that can be kind of fun. But I think most of the fun I've had is actually when there's no nightmares involved. So when there's no bubbles, because then you have two sides that are where everybody's vulnerable to whatever, right? And then you can like super tank and you can take tons of sniper damage, for example.
Yeah, well, the problem with that was that
mm.
the Vindicators, like anything that was snub fit or brawl fit, wasn't getting into range because you'd just be blammed away by the strikers.
Yeah.
Or, strike fit.
But you
ships.
can do something about that. I mean, for example, my Macarial right now, it's a fairly tanky fit, and then it's got like the usual double reds and 3 extenders and a micro warp drive, and then it's got 2 guidance disruptors and 2 tracking disruptors, and then it's autocannon fit. So what this allows you to do, which is a little bit interesting at least, is that you can approach the striker, then you can put your disruptors on it, and that will maybe cut his range in half, which will allow you to get close enough to him that you can actually engage him and deal damage to him, and also prevent him from blapping your sniper friends, should you have some. So
I found when I was brawl fit, I just couldn't engage because I'd be 100 kilometers away. By the time the Vindicator rolled up, my shields were gone and I was half armor before it got into brawl range, and it was pretty much all over from that point onwards. So
I think that was when the sniper meta was really big. I think that has changed. You don't see like triple apox strikers anymore because they're too easy to counter, right? So if you do meet a nightmare bubble or any kind of bubble, especially nightmare bubble, but if you meet any kind of bubble or a super tanky Abaddon or something like that, then you just lose. And there's just no way about it. You're just going to lose.
So what you're saying
And
is the Apox Striker and the Raven Striker are all vulnerable to tracking disruptors, or
yeah, it's especially the Apox Striker because it's so geared towards sniping, right? So everybody would always fit these super glass cannon fits. So at the beginning of DR, then you would have 3 Apox Strikers that were all doing like 6,000 DPS. And then you just completely melt anything.
I think the other interesting factor is most people still have them rat fit. So if you have a faction battleship, you're probably fit for Angel Space, Serpenta Space, Carista Space.
Yeah. There's clearly some people who do fit them specifically for DR, and they are better when they do that. I mean, you do see that. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the end of the world, but it does make a difference, just like in real PvP.
Especially when you get to the slug, the end of the game.
Yeah, so interesting point there. And as they were talking, I was actually thinking, I can't lose if I don't play. I don't ever have to worry about going in with a rat fit ship.
Yeah,
I lose it, I guess.
I've said that before. I've never been one for rat fit anything. I mean, because you're only ratting as long as it takes until someone comes in and jumps in on you. So then now you're PvPing. So I've never been one for the glass cannon type fits and all of that. It's PvP fit. Now sure, you might go NOS versus Newt because you're going to be doing some PvE versus PvP, and then you that would make sense for whatever your build is. But Newt would do nothing, but a NOS would at least give you some energy, right? So yeah, but other than that, I'm not really big on the whole PvE fit thing anyway. But no, I'm gonna have to play some more with it because I haven't played enough. 5-6 times maybe. Very, very limited on the matches, and I was taking an Abaddon into it, a tanky Abaddon, because it's a PvP Abaddon. So I forget when 3 out of 5 I think I won, and 2 lost horribly. I don't even remember exactly because these were all weird off hours when I play it. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that'll probably continue to change if more and more people are showing up in Brawl than the other side showing up in range. I mean, I'm not sure how you could just out-brawl that. Like he was saying, even on a Vindy, shields armor down by the time you get into range. Well, then you're dead. So, and as with everything in this game, we talked about this the last time we talked about metas. In the very beginning of the game, speed tank was a thing because that's all you had with frigates. And at the end of this game, speed is still going to be the thing. If you can
Yeah.
if you can outrange somebody because of your speed, then you've won. So that's all there is to it.
Well, with that last segment, I can't really comment much about, what they had said in Faction War Games simply because I haven't played Faction War Games. I only know from what I've seen in other people's videos and heard from other people's experiences. Now, in this next segment that they were talking about, they mentioned something about like I classified it as unsportsmanlike conduct. So people kind of
Mm-hmm.
cheesing a little bit, maybe not doing unfair play, but kind of just griefing a little bit, I guess you could say. In faction war games, how it's just not cool. Just take the L. Why
Right.
why do you have to like play around and just be a douche about it? Just take the L and move on, right?
Right.
So I wanna say that they talk about that in this clip. We'll check it out.
One last thing I wanted to talk about, because I think we want to keep this short so we can get back to our hosts today, is what about people running out of the bubble? A couple of times there we had people realizing that they were dead, and instead of taking the honorable suicide and dropping their shields and waiting for the damage to take them over, we saw sometimes with people deliberately driving outside the bubble so we wouldn't get the kill. I thought that was kind of
It's kind of gamey, right?
yeah.
I think if you got killed by the bubble, it should probably just assign the kill to whomever last dealt damage to you. I think that would be fair enough. I think it is kind of gamey. I wish it didn't work like that. Let's put it that way. I think that would be a good improvement on the game if it just assigned that kill, because then people wouldn't do it,
Yeah.
and then fights would be over faster, and we could get on with our lives.
Yeah, and you don't have to wait, for them to fly their battleship
Exactly.
away from you.
Then you
and,
can
and
then
just
you can get on with your next game.
Get
And
on with your
everybody
next
can get on with their next game, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So
It speeds up the
definitely
pace.
that would be an improvement.
It's not too bad when you're having a slugfest. Like we came up against a really well-fit crew from the other side. It was a long match because both sides were running nightmares, and it was a slugfest as to who was causing the most damage until eventually.
I think actually, wasn't that the one where we had the first fight we won, and then the second fight was with the same people, and then
Yeah.
they won? So
And it came down, and in the end, our nightmare killed the rattlesnake.
Yes, which was an incredibly slow fight.
Yeah, that is not exactly what you're expecting. You're not expecting the lasers on a nightmare to take down an opponent's faction battleship, but that is what happened because we pretty much.
That is what happened. I mean,
grounded
after all, 1,000 DPS is 1,000 DPS, right?
Well, I think I think the rattlesnake had run out of drones by that point. To be fair.
Yeah, it ran out of everything.
Yeah, the Vindicator had managed to grind up all these drones that he spat out.
Yeah, so he only had the missile damage, but he couldn't break the nightmare, and then he had ran out of cap, and then he just died.
Yeah, that's right. It was pretty funny.
That's what happens after
right before
12 minutes of fighting.
That's right. Right before the nightmare died, it was like in a half hull or something.
Yeah,
So
it was pretty close.
There's our contribution to Echoes of New Eden. I'm EtherealMind, and Valazar is here with me. We're both from TBRN Corp. We look forward to seeing you out there in the field of play. Enjoy the game, everybody.
And thank you, Ethereal and Valazar.
As always, good stuff.
Your name right. I'm not paying Val anything for his contributions to the show. By the way, he's 2 for 2 in special appearances on the show, and I thank him.
Yeah,
Even
it's
though
great.
He's not part of the staff team, but he knows a lot, especially about this type of stuff. I don't know anything about this stuff, so it's actually good to be able to talk to people that know quite a bit about it. So yes, thank you, and we'll get into the next segment now. I did ping PM Blue. I hope he's ready.
He better be. We're about to unmute him.
Yeah, PM Blue, what's up, buddy? You're unmuted. Define ready. Yeah.
You can speak, Blue. Or maybe you can't. I don't know.
No, he can.
Yeah, I was gonna say. And then he's gone. Now he's back.
Let me unmute him again.
Testing.
There you go. We hear you now.
Perfect. Hello.
Welcome.
Did you
How
get
you
a new
doing?
mic?
I'm using my headphones.
So, little fun fact was during the week when I had asked him to be on the show, I told him to get a studio mic, just specifically for this episode, this interview. So he sent me an audio clip. He's like, "This is what my microphone sounds like." I was like, "Okay, you know what? Actually, that's pretty decent. So let's do it."
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, so PM Blue, I wanted to talk to you about about your content creator status with your bot, Oxalus bot. So we'll talk about that and the features that it has and how you had honed it to Eve Echoes, and then how that came about, and then as well as I'm gonna pick your brain a little bit as to how you even make a bot and how how you come up with functions and what and just like other bots that you know of that serve equal or great purpose in Eve Echoes in general, because there's a lot of bots out there. Oxalus is one for Eve Echoes. It's really great, but I mean, I also have other bots on my Discord, and many others have, specialized bots for what they need to do specifically for Eve Echoes, moderation in some way. So, yeah. Anyway, that's why I asked you to be on the show. I hate to ramble on like that, but so tell us a bit about your history here and getting Oxalus set up.
Yeah, so before Auxilus, I had made like a few bots before then, right? And they'd done a ton of random crap essentially. So I was like, okay, I've learned my lessons. I made like a ton of mistakes and some trashy bots. So I designed Auxilus to be my final bot, where I would just put any random crap I think of into this bot, no matter what. So initially, I actually started out with auto moderation, and my first idea was nickname moderation, because I didn't know many bots that moderated nicknames, and I thought it'd be fun. So I learned how to create a website and everything, and I made a web dashboard for it. Then, like, while I was doing that, Ascended Legends, a group I'm part of, happened to show me Eve Echoes, and they got me into the game. And I was like, well, holy crap, this is a great game. Pretty much just completely flipped the bot from that very moment. I found some data that was released on Reddit, and I was like, hey, I'm going to play with this. And I just started coding from there. I started with mainly planetary resource finding functions and stuff like that, and I've been growing it ever since.
Wow. And I actually never knew that about your bot, how it started as a nickname moderation bot.
Yeah,
Yep.
and as of this week, it also does rock, paper, scissors.
Yes. Yes. There's a lot of Care Bear with guns only features. And one of the things we released is Roke Scepter's Prophecies.
Yeah,
RTS type game where you can bet against other people. And I lost 500 mil the very first night I released it in an RPS game. So
What?
maybe I should have coded in something to rig it or something.
Yeah.
Kind of awkward.
Come on now. Yeah, you're supposed to code them into your favor.
I
like
know.
the
I
casinos
messed
do.
it up. Oh,
No.
we have raffles too. We're all about the
Yeah.
gambling here in
Yeah.
Paris.
There is
Yeah,
there are so many bots on the Care Bears Alliance server. It's insane. When we moved up and when Steven 37 joined, and I first started seeing these bots all over the place, that was my introduction to bots, especially on a scale like that. And it just blew my mind away. It's just insane. It's almost to the point of being overboard, but not quite. So
Well, when I went over to their server for the
Yeah.
event that they were having with special guests, or like celebrity guests, I guess you could call them.
right.
I was going through the registration process, and I was going through stuff like, and I'm on a lot of Discords. I was going through stuff I've never even seen before. Like I
Yeah.
had to DM the bot, like have an actual one-on-one conversation with him in
Yep.
order to get roles and stuff. And and send them my screenshots and all that stuff. And it's like, well, where does that stuff go? Obviously they're moderating that,
Mm-hmm.
but just going over there and seeing Oxalus having a lot more features than what I was used to, because I have it on my Discord, my corporation Discord. SHH has it on their alliance Discord, and I see the features that they have as well as on my Discord, and then also on this show Discord I have it here. But it wasn't until I went over to Care Bears with Guns where I was seeing like all sorts of stuff like currency and oh man, there's like a handful of features I've never seen before. And I guess PM Blue, those are just like beta tests, right? Or that's just you messing around and adding features to it then, right?
Yeah, pretty much. That there's a lot of stuff that developers in this game can do for their communities that I think gets overlooked. I think that's one of the, if an API came out, we'd be able to do a whole lot more. But even without an API, with all the data out there, there's just so much you can do for your fellow Alliance members.
So, off the top of your head, what features does your bot have?
Let's see if he can even
for
remember.
Alliance or for
Let's see.
the general public.
Let's start with general, and then
Yeah.
if you have any specialty ones that you think are really stellar and you want to talk about, then yeah, sure.
So I would say, obviously, the main feature right now is kill mail parsing. I'm actually partnering with evestats.net, a website that also does kill mail parsing, and Auxilius stats will end up on that website if you have your privacy settings set. So hopefully we can get data more out there in terms of kill mails, and hopefully we can get some even better statistics than ever. Another thing that has been a huge focus for my bot is like resources and like PI. I recently even added to that like a POS specific command. There's market data in the bot. There's a lot of random crap. Pretty much, if I like randomly think of something, I'm like, all right, I'm doing this. In fact, a little known feature that's in the bot is you can. This is ridiculous. You can actually lock a server to a specific email domain. So if you have like a school organization and for some reason they use Discord, you can just like lock it to just that and have an email verification system. Again, I just do whatever random crap comes up into my head. It's crazy.
Wow. Okay. One feature also, and I remember way back when I was first becoming a content creator and I was working with Joni, and actually we were working with Joni. You built in a feature with Oxalus to where we can, it'll actually stream this show, every episode.
Oh yeah, that was actually one of the, I would say that's one of the funnest things I've ever programmed, because I've learned a lot from that into this bot, like legitimately. Because I had never really messed with like playing audio from a bot, so that was the first time I had done that. So yeah, anyone who wants to listen to this show with their friends when it's not live, you can listen to it with Auxilius as well.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
So
I want to know how to do that. That's cool.
I will have to show you.
Yeah.
When SHH is in a CTA, just do the command and it'll start playing one of my random episodes.
Do the song episode. Do the one with all the songs. There you go.
Perfect. Yes. Get that playlist going while we're sitting.
That's great. And how many servers are you on now?
Oh God. I think I'm not at 100. I think. Oh wait.
Oxalus.
You meant the bot.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. No, I'm in 100 alone. The bot is in 208.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay.
Very well done.
Yeah,
all of those
that's
using the
like
kill mail
double.
parser?
So, one sec. I have a command for that. So, I can tell you that there are 77 servers currently using the Killmail parsing.
Nice.
And that includes the OG Empire, No Please Stop, and SHH, as well as HONK, of course, our feathered friend.
Is Genfed? Isn't Genfed's using it too, right?
No, they currently use another bot.
Ah.
But ironically, I have to actually parse some of their kill mails with my own parsing. Because they think that their bot actually thinks that all their Citadel kills are capsules. So I have to reparse everything they call a capsule to find out how many Citadel kills they have.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Well, I was hearing about that when you had released that feature. You were talking about it. I don't remember exactly where, if it was a celebrity event or something, or just a side convo. You were talking about how other bots that do kill mail parsing, like they can't understand multiple languages.
Yes,
they'll
so
mess it up in some way. They can't read them right. If somebody takes a screenshot and it's got a picture of somebody's face on it, then it'll wipe the entire screenshot and can't read the kill mail because of that, like a little minor deficiency or whatever, stuff like that.
well, one advantage that I have is my access to data. I wonder how that happened. Somehow I happen to have all of NetEase's translations. So, I don't know how. It's crazy. But basically, that has allowed me to get higher accuracy rates. Another thing is most of these bots do their own free parsing. For example, the people I'm partnering with at EveStats, he told me he has to crop it 10 times. He has to change the saturation and do all this crap. I just send it to Google, and I pay them for that. In fact, my bill last month was $200 just in parsing. So,
Oh, shit.
I can see why they chose the free method.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Well, it comes with the quality of the bot, the reliability behind it. And you do have a Patreon, so people can support you and the bot, and with Patreon supporting. So, for people that maybe didn't know that, and they say, hey, actually this bot's really useful. It helps us, and they'd like to contribute to that. So they can actually contribute through Patreon. So that's cool.
You're
Yeah, I've
basically
gotten a lot of
paying to
support from
do.
that, actually.
That's good. That's good because you're basically paying to do what the devs won't. Give us a kill mail bot.
Yep.
Globally.
Yeah, I've actually gotten a lot of support through that. I got enough support last month to safely raise limits for everyone, because my goal isn't really to extract money from people here. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be paying the $200 bill.
Yeah.
I do want to just try to get stats more up there, and I also want to help encourage other third-party developers to use their talents for this game, because there are not many of us left. A lot are like, oh, no API, goodbye.
Yeah.
Don't leave, please. Reach out if you need any data, if you need help. I'm totally willing to help anyone else that wants it. Also,
So-
the Care Bears IT team would be happy to have you.
Yeah.
We're always recruiting.
Wow. The and one thing I'm fascinated by, and you can tell me kind of behind the scenes how this all works, is I know Discord has its own developer mode. Does that sound right? To where you can build these bots and do this. Did you build this bot all within Discord, or is it through a separate program, separate coding, all that?
So Discord has an extremely comprehensive API. It's honestly pretty incredible. So I personally use, for the developers out there, a library called Discord.py, because I code everything in Python. But basically, it's just Discord did what NetEase should do and gave an immensely comprehensive API, and that's how all of these bots work. Discord says, oh, this person sent this message and the bots are like, oh, then do this. That's basically the logic behind it. It's a back and forth communication.
Simple enough if you understand Python.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's all Python coding. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are you can do it in many other languages. It's really all up to you. Discord has a lot of great support for developers. That I cannot complain at all. They've been really great.
There are some sites that I've come across too when thinking about how to do different things on my server now, because we're getting pretty bot heavy as well, where you can actually do it in just almost like a conversational type programming, and you just pay $5 a month to host that bot on their servers as well, but then go back and use it on yours. But it's your own customized bot, and you don't need to have any coding knowledge at all. I don't know how limited those are. I'm assuming they're fairly limited, but at least that would give you a taste or an intro into doing it before you learned or jumped into actual Python, Java, whatever scripting language you needed to use. So there's a ton there. There's just a ton there. If you have any interest in doing that at all, there's ways to do it.
Yeah,
So-
I would say to anyone that's like that's like really interested in Discord bots and like all that, if you think programming is like not up your alley, I would just like take a look at like some Python tutorials. I'm a hobby programmer. I have no like formal education in coding. I actually learned by coding Discord bots. So if you're like on the edge, try taking that leap.
Snacks is in the chat trying to track how many times you say API.
And I like how Cracklin had that comment. The language is most often used when programming a bot is profanity.
That is
Yeah.
true. That is an accurate assessment.
Yep.
That is the most commonly used language probably in the world when
Oh,
programming
yeah.
anything.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Interesting. So often there are things that you would code and it doesn't work. So obviously that frustrates you, and then that's where this language comes in.
Programmers are the laziest, most hardworking people you'll ever meet. It's a complex relationship we have with our computers.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, and what kind of like Python knowledge would be needed to even build just a simple kind of like a nickname moderation type bot? Like how much do I need to take 2 years of Python coding to know something like that, or is that something like a quick YouTube video I can do?
No. Oh yeah.
Well, I suppose it depends on the distinction really is, are you making it a public feature? If I wanted to make all the Care Bears with Guns features public, that would take like at least double the time that it took to make them alone. For a basic nickname moderation feature, I would say if you spend like a few weeks, you're probably good, honestly.
Yeah.
You just have to find the right tutorials and the stuff that works for you. Obviously, programming isn't for everybody. One big myth is that you have to be good at math. There's like correlation there, but I wouldn't say you have to be.
No. I would agree with that. You do have to be able to look at long strings of code and not have your eyes roll in the back of your head while doing it, because
Right.
that's just or be put to sleep by trying to read it. Like that was always tough for me. I would try to read it and just be like, forget it.
I remember developing websites 15 years ago.
Yeah.
This was 15 years ago, but I had ran some websites for some restaurants. And those were made through, at the time, CSS. So Java hadn't been that popular yet, or Python haven't been that popular yet. So I was still using CSS. And even with Cascade style sheets, it's still a lot of code, but you once you understand it, you understand it. It's a language, and you know exactly what goes where and what links and all. And then prior to CSS, I also have developed some websites through HTML or just HTM, and that's even more code,
Mm-hmm.
commands and all that stuff. And so I'm like, well, if that was that bad at this time, I mean, is Pantheon a bit, or not Pantheon? Is
Pantheon's
Python?
really hard to code right now because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I need to give you a hand clap for that. Where's my sound effects? I didn't have my sound effects open, but anyway.
Oh well.
You know, is Python pretty streamlined as far as comes to being able to code and features like that?
Yeah, one of the great things about Python is that it's designed to be easy to read and learn. The first language I tried to learn, because it's the language most normal people hear about, is JavaScript.
Yeah.
So I took a look at that, and I was like looking through this stuff for like an hour. I was like, huh, I'm never opening this link again.
Right? Yeah.
One day I tried out Python, and I just found that it made more sense to like an average person. Like, I think I could learn JavaScript now, but like that's not a good starting point, Like,
No.
Python's a better starting point language.
Yeah. Don't start with Ruby on Rails.
Oh God.
So I think it's really fascinating how you came in with a bot that wasn't even designed for Eve Echoes, and you designed it to form itself around Eve Echoes and Eve Echoes functions. And like, I know you have a market update function too, where people can, I don't know, request a price or about something, right?
Yep. So I get my data from Eve Echoes Compodium, or however the hell you say it. Ezekiel is an amazing guy. He allowed me to use it. I talked to him. He's I would just highly recommend it. He also allows other people to use his API for their own like sheets if they want. I would definitely highly recommend it. You just have to become a Patreon. It's not that expensive. It's great, and it's fairly accurate data.
His market data is up to date again.
Yep.
Because I remember
Eve Echoes Market, Eve Echoes Compodium.
Right. Yeah, I used to use the old Eve Echoes Market one all the time, and then it just never got updated. It died, and I was like, son of a, and so I just had to rework all my sheets. I had, at least 6 different sheets all pulling from that data, and it just screwed it up. So now I just have
that developer, because I was in contact with him. So I've been pinging him for like months, obviously. Like whenever it goes down, I kind of contact him.
Yeah.
He said he broke his arm, and that's why he wasn't coding at some point. And then he just stopped responding to me. So
you stalker. You stalked him too much, and he ran off.
Oh, you did the same thing with NetEase, where they stopped responding to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another question I have is, do you gain like any inspiration or any ideas from other bots of features that they have for you to incorporate features into your bot?
So one example of another awesome bot out there is like 07. So obviously when you see these other bots, sometimes they do give you ideas. But I think that people have been like a really good way for me to get my ideas. Like people just like coming up to me and being like, it'd be nice if we had this. Like one of the features that people love about my kill mail parsing is the kill mail forwarding. That was a suggestion. Like so much of this stuff is just like suggestions, and it's not like stuff that originally popped up in my brain.
Yeah.
So like I just encourage people to like just keep throwing your ideas out there, and someone might develop it.
Yeah.
I actually intentionally try not to step on other bots' toes to some degree, because to be honest, you're not as motivated to just like make a feature that's already out there.
Yeah.
in many cases, so.
Right, but even then, to make it your own and maybe a bit more streamlined or
right. A lot of people have
beneficial.
been asking me to use the newfound market data that I have to replace some of 07's commands for like blueprints and stuff. That is something I am looking at, though. I'm trying to get more reliable data, like accurate data, from my my sources. Who knows where those are?
They're ghosting you. That's
Definitely
Yeah.
not the game files.
No.
No,
Definitely
I
not the
never
game
got
files
those.
that were posted on Reddit. Yeah, not those.
No, not those. For now. Yeah.
Yep. So you mentioned 07 bot, and
Yep.
a lot of people use 07 bot because I believe it's like planetary and blueprints and like structure requirements, and like it has a lot of Eve Echoes features that people use. I know it's on SHH server, and there's a specific channel just for that. If I want to know where's the closest plasmoids to my location, it'll tell me, stuff like that. Me personally, I don't use 07 bot. I have a spreadsheet for planetary. And,
Old school.
I don't know. I guess for me that's quicker.
Yeah,
I guess. I had a point there that I just forgot about.
We do use
But-
the PI bot, Oxalus's PI bot anyway on our server, so that works really, really well. It's so simple, and it'll give you a pretty large list of what's close by and what's rich or perfect or not. So
Right. I think 07 is more jump based, and I have both options for jump and like what's perfect.
right,
But as I tell people, I'm not trying to like necessarily replace other bots or anything. If you have something that works for you, just keep using it. Like I'm not gonna force Gen to use my bot. They're giving me exports, so that's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like whatever you're comfortable with.
I had remembered my point about 07, and I had heard that it stopped updating, or at least was delaying the updates, and so they weren't accurate.
So that is, yes, their market. They use the Eve Echoes market, which has stopped updating. So, and the developers have also gone fairly inactive, which is a big loss to the game.
Yeah.
As I've said, a lot of third-party developers they don't have too much to do without an API. It's really unfortunate seeing all these third-party developers leaving the game. Even a lot of the data miners that I know are like, I'm kind of done. I moved on. It's really sad to see. That's why I've been trying to make my data as available as possible so that other third-party developers have something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there is tons of other bots specifically for Eve Echoes. So 07 was one, and even though it may not be made around Eve Echoes, it's used often for the Eve Echoes community, and that's Ticket Tool. That's by far my favorite. I mean, Oxalus is good, but Ticket Tool for its purpose is like amazing.
What does Ticket Tool do?
Ticket Tool's great. Yep, we use it in our server too. Ticket bots are like really useful. I mean, whether you're doing like PI stuff, you're doing onboarding, etc. There's just so many applications.
Yeah, there's like dispute tickets and SRP and onboarding, what have you. I mean, people want to file a complaint, they can make a ticket. You can talk one-on-one with them or something like that, rather than DM.
Yeah. Okay.
Thing
Now I'm
about
not sure about
Ticket Tool is, well, I was gonna say with Ticket Tool you can save the transcript, and it turns it into an HTML link. You can share with people and view it in a browser and all that. Whereas DM you don't, right? So,
Right.
And then like people can delete messages and stuff, and Ticket Tool allows only certain roles can do certain things, and it's very customizable. But and there you go, donations tractor. I don't know that much about Hydra though.
So
Yeah.
Hydra is a music bot.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know
that's right.
People use it a lot on Care Bears and in our HONK server.
Yeah.
They
We
love
started
listening to music with friends.
using Tempo instead, and because I didn't know about Hydra, because we had a different one before. What did we have? I forget the name of it before, and it was actually pulling in
Rhythm?
stuff from it had Rhythm, and then of course it died, and that's when
Right, YouTube shut it down.
Right, and then we switched over to Tempo because that's the only thing I knew of at the time. I even pay for Tempo so we have proper volume control. But I don't know. Maybe I'll switch to Hydra. Everybody seems to be using that, and there's got to be a reason behind it. So
Well, they still play YouTube videos.
Well, as
Hydra
I said,
does?
They play Spotify. I know they play Spotify playlists as well.
Ah,
Just post the link.
okay. Well, then, yeah, I'm switching. I've
in
wanted
the
to.
end, it's always like, I could just spend like all my time like duplicating O7's features, for example, and saying, "Ha, now I'm like marginally better than O7. Get my bot instead." But like if you're comfortable with tempo, you stick with tempo. If you want Hydra, you get Hydra. It's all about what you're comfortable with these bots, especially. So
Yeah. Well, I don't. The only thing about tempo that drives me nuts is trying to make a playlist and just typing everything. Maybe Hydra's the same way, typing out the exact name and the artist and making it. I mean, God, can I just?
Oh God, that's
Jeez,
not them. Yeah,
it's horrible. It's
Forget
horrible.
everything I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Sometimes
yeah,
you need
and
an upgrade, though.
Yeah. How do you get Hydra to just play music? Do you just is there just a command line just to let it play random songs or what? Or
There's like a command, and you can like add a whole playlist at once.
yeah, I would just straight up just post a link to a playlist, like classic rock playlist, and you just link it to the playlist, and boom, plays.
yeah, I'll be damned. Okay, cool. There you go. I will be doing that tonight.
So, yeah, that's cool. I didn't. I was thinking maybe Hydra was something like Aura bot, where it had like a lot more features that I probably didn't know about, rather than playing music. But if it's just music, then that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I know it plays. I mean, that's what McKinsey and them over there use to be able to listen to their shows on as well. So somehow,
Yep.
however she does that.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
I think you
she's
can listen
got
to
the
live
special
Twitch streams on
tools.
it.
Yep, she does have special tools.
And a few others I had noted too. StatBot. People
Yep.
use StatBot for
Yep.
theirs. I know we have StatBot on my server, and we kind of make a little fun game on it. They have rankings on there. People with activity, and they have little cards and whatnot, XP that they can gain. And as far as members go, like maybe line members don't really see that much of a use for that bot, but for people that are kind of monitoring activity, the bot could be pretty useful. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Very
yeah,
much
no,
so.
There's people that there's corporations, there's alliances that monitor activity, believe it or not, and there's bots for that. Another one is member list, and I believe member list, it shows everybody that had joined comms within a certain time frame, if I'm not mistaken. So they can get like accurate CTA, whatever you call it, like attendance from corporations, specific players, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Snacks wanted me to mention that we definitely know the power of analytics over at Care Bears, because we recently also added a custom attendance thing where we can track the attendance of ops in Discord comms. So we know exactly which corporations are attending, for how long, etc.
Okay.
That's
So-
tracking is definitely a very good thing.
Yep.
So that's different than the one that SHH uses, because
It
if
is.
I were to request attendance, they could only get me the attendance, but they cannot get me how long. So with Oxless, they actually tell you.
Oh, we know
In
to the
the
second how
duration.
long someone was in VC. Yep.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
it's Big Brother Bear.
Yep.
Wow.
But it's very good from the standpoint of at least you know where you stand, right? And there's no funny business, right? There's no no corp can go in there and just gank the system by hopping onto the CTA comms for 5 minutes and dropping out, right? I
And
mean,
then
there's no
counting it
Right.
as attendance.
and counting that as attendance, right? And not that we had a problem with people doing that, but there was always a question of, okay, well, you want to reward people who were there for 4 freaking hours versus the ones who were
Right.
there for 20 minutes. Now, maybe that's all they had was 20 minutes and we're grateful for their time. But I mean, time is time. So those people who put in the effort should be rewarded. So
Yep.
that's
We
more of
have
what
been
it's
using
for.
that for
Yeah.
quite a few things. I've been considering trying to adapt it so that SHH can use it as well, because I think they would be interested. So there's not as many CTAs with the war ending, of course.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Eve Echoes. There's always something going on.
Yep.
And and I know as far as communities, and each corp has their own community, and they all have bots that adhere to their communities. So another one that was on Care Bears that I have not, I guess, witnessed or ever been a part of was the Pokemon one that's over there, and it'll throw like a random Pokemon, you know,
Yep,
and then
Pokey too.
like anybody can catch it if they guess the name on it and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, that's cool. That's just another thing that you could do in Discord when you already updated yourself on.
Yep.
See, it's not a bot, but it's something that we just added into my corporation as like a little fun game between all of the members. It's a website called Wordle,
Yep.
and we dedicated a channel just so we can post all of our Wordle posts. It's not a bot, but it's just one of those things that, hey, this is cool. If you participate in it, cool. If you don't, that's cool too.
Yeah.
But the Pokemon bot is the same way. There's a following Pokemon has. A lot of people are big fans of Pokemon, and it's, like I said, just another thing to do in Discord if you're
Yep.
not already busy enough.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to
Yep.
make your Discord fun. You got to have things on there for people to do when maybe they don't have time to jump in game, or maybe they're just kind of burnt out that day because they've mined for 6 hours or something. But you still want to be able to talk and hang out and have something fun that's different, right? Everybody has to have a different little bit of a flavor of what they want to do. So we do have Poke2 over on our server, and there's one other bot that I want to talk about that I think everybody should have. It's got to be the funnest bot I've ever put on a server or played anywhere on anybody else's server, and it's called Dank Memer.
Oh God.
You know about that one, Blue?
Yes, I'm aware of it.
This is the absolute funnest bot ever. I mean, you have all these different commands. You can earn money. It's got its own little currency thing, and then you can steal money from the other players. You can buy locks for your bank so people can't steal it, or put a landmine on it. So if they try to steal it, it kills them. I mean, it has marriage. It has this whole thing of marriage. So we've got one guy, hot guy in C137, who's now married to Kuwari over in Hogs. Well, Kuwari was married to One True Morty before. Then they got divorced because they didn't do the game mechanics right to where they would stay married. And so it's just like this whole the storyline thing comes out of it. It's just
Discord bot
yeah,
drama.
yeah, it's hysterical.
So
it's just
Sims. It's a Discord sim bot.
yes, exactly. Now the controversy around that bot is for the longest time you could type in PLS space boobs, and it would give you random images scraped.
Yes, there are some NSFW.
It would give you randomly scraped images from the web, the World Wide Web. They recently took that one little feature out,
Yeah.
and you can just guess
I
why.
wonder why.
This little word called consent, but it was the greatest.
Yeah, consent is something you, especially in Discord bots, because Discord's very serious about that.
They are.
Very careful about privacy and user privacy.
Right.
That's why I try to be as careful as I am. Well, another feature I would actually highly recommend all alliances do that. I would say the most successful program that attendance and RPS are nothing compared to our currency system in Care Bears.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend, if you want to avoid all those JITA taxes, Care Bears have avoided over 120 billion in taxes just by using our own currency.
Yep.
And you don't have to make your own bot for this. There's what we used before we had our own system is Unbelievable, and there's tons of other economy bots out there. So if you want to make your own currency, there's ways.
Yep. That does work really well. That whole CareBucks system does work very well. Big fan of it.
Yeah, I think there's about 3 trillion in transactions on it, and about 300 billion in accounts right now. So yeah, definitely working.
It's definitely working. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know there's other servers too, like a Degenerate Gambling Club. They have their
Yeah.
bots for gambling.
Yep.
And I think it was on the Care Bears server. I wanted to do a bet on one of the football games, Oh no, it was on the SHH one. Wanted to do a bet, and it didn't have the feature to do a bet. But anywho,
Well, that's something we should add.
there you go. Yeah, just so many bots out there, and I actually did a fun little feature on my Discord the other day, probably a couple weeks now. Is I've been using the trigger words, and so anytime somebody says Rambo, it pops up a picture of Rambo. It says Rambo's watching.
Yep.
That's
So-
not ominous or anything.
Yeah, it's just like no, it's not on this server. It's on my corporation server.
Yeah, someone tried it in chat.
Yeah, I am. I don't even know if I have Dino on this server. I think Dino is like the default Discord bot, if I'm not mistaken.
It's definitely one of the most popular Discord bots. I know they're in like millions of servers, so that
Yeah,
thing
Dino
is
has
like
a
its
lot
own
of
business.
good features.
Haven't even heard of Dino, so that tells you what I know.
Damn, that's impressive.
I mean, I have
Hey,
me
so
seeks,
this-
but I mean, what?
Of course. Does Oxalis have trigger word function to where I can type my name and have an image or an embedded message come up?
It does not. I was actually gonna make stuff like that on the dashboard, and stuff like message, like content moderation. In fact, I still may make that for all these scam links going around. As you know, your server and my server are both protected with my anti-scam link stuff. So I may make that a public thing. But I haven't actually added like anything else besides the scam link stuff.
Yeah. Man, well, shoot. We could talk about bots all night.
Oh yeah.
We
are
could.
Actually, we're hitting the 2-hour mark, so I mean,
Already.
already.
Yeah, I know.
Just a minute ago, it was at 117, so I was like, okay.
Well, once
We'll
again,
probably
we
call
looked
it
at
a-
this. Yeah, we looked at this outline today, and I was thinking to myself as I was typing some things in, and I was thinking, this might actually be a short show for once. Nope. No offense to like talking about bots or anything, Blue. I just figured that all the other stuff in front of it we started talking about was going to go faster, and of course it doesn't because we have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's such a great time. And PM Blue, thank you for joining us and talking bots with us. And always great having you. Thank you for being a fan of the show as well. And if you got any shout outs, go ahead, man, before I mute you.
Shoot. Auxilius. Go get Auxilius. Thanks for everyone who is a Patreon. I love you all, and shout out to Rambo for letting me on the show. That's all I
man.
got.
Well, thank you. All right.
Thanks for coming on, man.
All right. Yes. So PM Blue, there he is. I actually server muted him. I just want to regular mute him.
Yeah, there you go. The man, the myth, the legend, PM Blue, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, he's been a content creator for as long as I've known.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been doing it with Oxalis ever since. So it's great to actually get a little behind the scenes from him about that stuff. I just found that really fascinating. And when we were talking about, coming up with a show and talking about bots and Eve Echoes related bots and stuff, I was like, who would be better than to have PM Blue,
Yep.
an official
Yep.
content creator specifically for this bot for Eve Echoes.
Yep.
So, it's just great to have. And I think with that, we'll call it the end of the show, yeah? Start
All right.
The outro here, and we'll do our shout outs. And I just want to shout out to all the other content creators, and all the contributions that they do. Echoes from the Front, Damon Zell, check out his episodes that he has weekly, his news and whatnot. And now he's doing interviews and
Yeah.
summits and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's actually adding more content. Sky News, the premier Russian news outlet. Those are great guys over there as well. We also had Asheeved. I played his commercial, Asheeved YouTube. That dude does so much content. Like, it's unbelievable how busy that dude is. And
Yeah.
he's doing like other games too. So it's
Yep,
like,
I saw that. He's a lot of fun.
he'll do Eve Echoes games. He'll do. I think somebody said that he was doing what, World of Warcraft. So it's like he's doing tons of games. That's all.
Really?
I don't
Really?
keep track of all the games.
World of War. Okay.
And then, you know, all the other content creators: Captain Benzie, Muse, Gigaforta, you know,
Yep.
Kill Milk Collectors.
There's a lot.
Shoutouts to them. You know, keep up with the content, everybody, and you know, support your content creators. And you know, we really enjoy it. We do this for the listeners, right? The content creators. I mean, we
Mhm.
do this for the followers. So everybody here enjoys the game, and I mean, that's all I got.
No, that's all I got. Another great episode. Another great time with you and everybody else in the chat. Thanks for coming on and listening live and giving us your feedback real time. That's always fun to try to keep up with in the chat while we're talking on the air as well. So that's always great. Thanks for coming.
All right, we'll end it there. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you.